Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. Talking about obesity, people, it is not a lovely topic, but it's a necessary one. And this is part 2 in my series on obesity. Really part 3 to be fair. But what I would say is that as adults, it's really imperative that we set the example for the youth, right? And this is really the first generation where the children may not even live as long as their parents did. And parents certainly aren't living as long as their parents in many situations. And it's just getting worse by the day. And so I think it's really imperative that adults own their health and model the better way for the next generation. I don't know how else they can say, like occasionally a generation will learn, but mostly it's passed on down and largely through modeling. So maybe you're at an age where you're like, my kids are long gone, they're grown, it's all good, right? But what about the grandkids? Are the grandkids seeing granny, limping, using a cane, can't get up, directing the house to bring her this, bring her that because she can't get up, or certainly grandpa, the beer belly is literal, right? So maybe it's for the grandchildren that you need to do this. I don't know what your story is. But this young person, and by young I mean like 32, right? Which is young for me, came to me and said, well, I've been noticing that you're getting healthy. I can see that you're losing weight. And I'm really interested because I'm pregnant with another child. And I want this child to have a, better chance because there's no way I can control what my son eats, and at least with this baby, I can start from the beginning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I so get it. I mean, I've been teaching forever. I work with teens. I understand how stubborn they can be. How old is your kid? Two. I was like, wait, what, huh? What? 2? You feel you've lost hope? Who the heck is doing the shopping? Who's driving and getting that kid whatever they want? Who's insisting? I mean, let the kid fit through. When they're hungry enough, they'll eat whatever it is you put in front of them. 2? And you already want a second try with this new little person in your tummy right now? What? God is bigger. People. If you are head of that household, and I don't mean that you don't have a husband, I just mean like if you're the person running the kitchen, running the household, run it, right? Be confident in that grocery list that you purchased. Wow. That was just wow. All right. So this is a really important article. It's obesity, adult obesity prevalence maps, which is super interesting. And it literally has a warning for COVID-19, and it says obesity may increase risk for severe illness, racial and ethnic disparities persist. Really important to look at. And there's a ton of information on here, and of course I'll include it in the description of the video. But it reads CDC, and that's the Center for Disease Control, has released the 2019, super recent, right? I mean, right before the COVID. I don't even want to know what the post-COVID looks like. Oh my. But right before the COVID. So the 2019 adult obesity prevalence maps for 49 states, the District of Columbia, and 2 U.S. territories. The map shows self-reported adult obesity, self-reported, like people who were on enough to just call up and say, put me on your list, man. So self-reported adult obesity prevalence by race, ethnicity, and location. The data comes from the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, which is an ongoing state-based telephone interview survey conducted by the CDC and state health departments. The 2019 map shows that obesity impacts some groups more than others. There are notable differences by race and ethnicity, as shown by combined data from 2017 to 2019. 6 states had an obesity prevalence of 3% or higher among non-Hispanic white adults. 15 states had an obesity prevalence of 35% or higher among Hispanic adults. And 34 states and the District of Columbia had an obesity prevalence of 35% or higher among non-Hispanic Black adults. And then they have it by education and race. Obesity decreased by level of education. Adults without a high school degree or equivalent had the highest self-reported obesity. Those without a high school degree or equivalent, meaning what is that test that you get to take to pass? Your GED, right? General education is like an equivalency. At 36.2%, followed by high school graduates with 34.3%, adults with some college at 32.8%, and college graduates at 25%. Young adults were half as likely to have obesity as middle-aged adults. Adults aged 18 to 24 years had the lowest self-reported obesity at only 18.9%, compared to adults ages 45 to 54, who had the highest prevalence at 37.6%. That's interesting to me, and I wonder if any of it is skewed in the sense that certainly 45 to 54-year-olds would be more inclined to answer a survey question than an 18 to a 24-year-old. And certainly honestly. So that's kind of interesting to me. Okay, and then across the states and territories, all states and territories had more than 20% of the adults with obesity. 20% to less than 25% of adults had obesity in just one state, and that was Colorado. Shout out to Colorado. Oh, and the District of Columbia. They were tied. 25% to less than 30% of adults had obesity in 13 states. California was one of those. 30% to less than 35% of adults had obesity in 23 states, and Guam and Puerto Rico. And 35% of more adults had obesity in 12 states. Listen to these southern states. God bless them. Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia. And I know those aren't all in the South, but I think you see a few of them there, right? Alabama, certainly. Mississippi, certainly. Louisiana, certainly, right? The Midwest had 33.9%, and South, 33.3%. had the highest prevalence of obesity, followed by the Northeast with 29.9%, and finally the West with 27.4%. And I think that's because it's almost sunny all year and people just get out more, right? Yeah, they just get out more. So the overall obesity, this is a prevalence of self-reported obesity among United States adults by territory. And they actually have a map of it, which I think I can use as the description for this video. Yes, I can. I think I'll use it as the description for the video, but otherwise I included the article. And so green, which again is only District of Columbia and Colorado, is where it was 20% to 25%. Yellow, lots of yellow, but sunny states like Florida, certainly California, the whole West Coast was 25 to 30%. And then finally, there was orange, which were right next door. So I was wrong. Arizona is actually orange. Nevada is orange. Texas is orange. You know, Missouri, lots of orange. And then finally, the deepest purple are the ones that I mentioned. I mean, it's more burgundy, but still, that's where it's more than 35%. And that's just uncomfortable and very hard, really hard. So they actually have it listed by prevalence, by state. And I think it started, no, it's random. It's totally random. But like individually, Alabama was 36. Individually, Arkansas was 37. Whereas Colorado was only 23 and California was only 26. Which is, you know, more than one would prefer, but it's not terrible. Another one, District of Columbia, again at 23. Florida at 27. Most were somewhere in the 33 range. Hawaii only 25. Really close to Colorado. I just want to see if there's any. Massachusetts, yeah, up on the East Coast, 25%. They get out a lot, I'm sure. Boston Harbor. They're tea drinkers, not anymore. Okay, Nevada, 30%. Montana, a little less at 28%, but hello, get ready. Mississippi, 40.1%. Oh, God bless them. My gosh, I'm so sorry. I just know how uncomfortable it is. That's why. Because I think I was at, I don't even know, 40 something before. And I know how desperately uncomfortable that is. New York, lots of walking in New York, 27%. I'm just seeing if there's any more outliers that vary too much. I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, I think that's it, you guys. I just wanted to say our adults are hurting across the board is pretty much what it's saying. And then again, they even have maps. They go on with the maps that show the differential between all of America, which is the one I was just mentioning, and then going on to specific subgroups. So it shows Hispanics, right? And for the Hispanic subgroup, it says all of a sudden California's orange. And that's, a moment ago it was yellow, right? Or Washington, which was yellow, is all the way to that deep burgundy. Arizona, which was orange, is now deep burgundy. There's like a big change right there. And then it goes on to the non-Hispanic Black adults. And that's where California becomes burgundy. It's not even orange anymore, it's burgundy. And Arizona is burgundy, Nevada is burgundy, and in fact, most of the country is at 35% or more. And that's why it's saying it's just not fair per group. But I don't know. A lot of it is information, some of it is cultural, right? A lot of people always say, well, you know, obesity runs in my family. Sorry, it doesn't. Obesity doesn't run in your family. Your food choices, your behaviors towards food, your reliance on food runs in your family. The coping skill and lack of coping skill runs in your family. Every baby is born around 7.4 ounces. Some bigger, some smaller. I think the average literally is 19 inches and 7.4 ounces. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. And of course it just varies from there. But mostly we all come out the same, and then it's a whole lot of other factors, right? But, you know, again, they make 5X coffins if no one wants to change. If you do want to change, I'm testimonial that it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And for people who decide to skip the work and just go for, you know, the stomach surgeries and things like that, without the work, without the knowledge, without the education, without the effort, without the behavior changes, inevitably, they find themselves back where they were. And I've certainly done that many times, and I am absolutely doing the footwork to not find myself back in that position. May this be my last time of being obese. All right, my friends, I don't know what that does for you. I'd love to hear in the comments below. Can you relate? Do you understand? Do you agree that it's behavioral largely rather than, no, I'm not saying body type. Body type is absolutely inherited, right? That's something that can run in a family. Whether you're large boned, whether you're broad shouldered, whether you're narrow waisted, you know, whether you're long legged, whether you're tall, like those things. In my family, because there were 13 of us, 11 children, and mom and dad, we saw the gamut. It ran the gamut. I mean, there's no doubt if people saw us, they say, you're in McCants, right? I've been in other states, I've been in other countries, and people have literally said, is your name McCants? Amazing, not even kidding you. All of that, we definitely have that stamped on our face, but the body, the type, how it ended up, what we did with it, that has greatly varied, greatly varied. We've seen the whole thing. So I don't blame anyone at all for my current circumstance. I'm an adult. I've owned it for a really long time. There are great tools out there. Many are free, like the 12-step program of Overeaters Anonymous, and I happily take advantage of that. But I am sorry for our current circumstance, because people watch for a half hour in a public setting. It's devastating. How many people are obese? How many people are just, it's so incredibly uncomfortable in their body? How many people have walking impairments as a result of trying to support that extra weight? Are using those little, electric carts at the store to support that extra weight? Are using a cane way early in life to support that extra weight? I get it. I had a cane when I was 29. I mean, yeah, ultimately because of my sciatica and stuff, but would my sciatica have been in that circumstance without the weight I was carrying? So that's what I mean about people dying from obesity-related diseases, right? And I have another video on that, which I think I'll include in the description of this one. But it's not a happy topic, but it's a necessary one. And the bottom line is that there is hope, but that it takes work. And sadly, we're in a society where people want instant gratification. And in so many ways, with social media, with our smartphones, with all of the things at the speed of light, people expect it with very little effort, and they want it yesterday, and there's just nothing real about that. All right, I'm going to stay the course, people. I've got homework. No surprise. All right, like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. I'm available to support you. And until we talk again, best of all, we're both breathing, and for that, we are blessed.